Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to set yourself up for success in 2026 as a remote worker from Nigeria. Hi, my name is Jimmy, and I am a freelance social media manager and multimedia artist from Nigeria. And I have been working in this field full time for the past 3 years. And I feel like this is a very, very good time to talk about this topic because we are in at a period of time where people are transitioning into new careers, new opportunities, and so much. And I believe some of my personal experiences would be very, very useful to people who are looking into getting into remote work in the next few months, and most definitely people who want to succeed at that. So I know a lot of people talk about how to get remote work, how to get paid, how to find opportunities in your niche, and so on and so forth. But today we're going to be doing something a little bit different from what we did before, which is how to actually keep these clients, how to actually maintain very good relationship with your client or with whatever agency or company you are working with. That's what we're going to be doing today. So the first tip I want to mention is professionalism. I understand that because you're not working from your office or your agency, there's a certain level of ease when it comes to all of this and how you manage your tasks, how you go about doing the work in itself. You literally can be on your bed working, you can be on your desk, you can be outside, maybe at a lounge or cafe, sitting down and working. And although the level of professionalism required does not really match with the one for on-site work, but you still have to keep a decent level of professionalism when it comes to doing your work, which means you have to show up to your meetings, you have to dress well to your meetings. I have had a lot of employers talk about this particular one. You have to be as responsive as possible. You have to show up. You have to actually do the job as well as you would do it if you were working on site. Literally, the only difference between remote work and on site work is that you're not doing it from the office. So every other thing should actually stay constant, and that is one place where I think people forget, and people tend to also miss important opportunities or lose important opportunities before. So try as much as possible to keep your professionalism level at the max, and you see where that goes. The second thing I want to talk about is communicativeness and responsiveness and boundaries. So one other thing that is also as important as professionalism is communication. Just as if you were working on site, you would take a walk to, let's say, your manager's office or your co-worker's office and ask, how are we doing that, how are we doing that. You have to keep a similar level of communication status while also working remotely. And it's very important because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, the only difference is you are not doing this work on site. So you have to make sure the work gets done. So you have to ask your client whatever, all possible questions. You want to do it well, you want to do it better, you want to do it to the taste of your client or to your bosses. So it is very important to make sure that you are very communicative and very, very clear. And also another thing is to keep in mind your time zones, especially for people who are doing full-time remote roles. It's very important to be able to shift to match the time zone of whichever company or agency or set of clients you are working with. It is very, very important. I'm in Nigeria, I work from Nigeria, and over the past few months, my active times during the day have drastically changed. So I tend to wake up very, very late because I tend to sleep late. So I wake up around 11 p.m., 11 a.m., 12 p.m. my day as a Nigerian, because I tend to work with more clients that are far behind. So the mornings are usually 3 p.m. here, and I have to work till about 12 p.m. here. So that's kind of like what is working for me currently, and I have seen that it's literally has worked for me over the past few months, and I find myself more responsive to my clients' requests at this time because I shifted my own time to actually fit it. Now this might not work very well, especially for freelancers. If you are working with clients across different time zones, this might be a bit difficult to navigate, but it's also very, very important to find a way to balance it, because if you're trying to do everything at the same time, you might end up losing all those opportunities. So what I did was I shifted mine, and I've stuck with it, and that's one thing you have to actually keep in mind. By the way, Sometimes last year I lost about an opportunity because I could not really function based on their own time of the day, and that's very very important for me, specifically as a social media manager, because we have to do certain things at certain times of the day of my client, and I can't do that when I'm still sleeping or when I'm just not available on my desk. So that's one thing that I think is very very important to keep in mind. And also, clients have different boundaries. Those people also have their own work times, available times. So it's very important, especially at the start of work, it's very important to ask them, do you have specific times when you are active, when you want me to reach out to you, when you want me to communicate with you, and when you do not want me to? It's very important to actually be on the same times with them in that light. Very important. The next thing I want to talk about is reliability. And one thing a lot of freelancers and remote workers do not really know is that, especially across most niches, clients tend to prefer reliable people over people with talent. Make sure you don't ghost your client, make sure you don't miss your client's feedback, make sure you don't rush your client's work. These three things matters so much more than talent. Yes, gain the skill. Don't be too consumed in getting the skills and the other things that you miss these three things that I have listed. And these are the few tips that I have for you moving into 2026. As someone that I've been able to successfully navigate getting a remote work, these are the things that you will need. If you have any questions regarding any of the things that I mentioned above, well, to ask your questions in the comment section, and I will be here to answer all of your questions. If you have any topic that you want me to talk about under remote work, I would be more than happy to do that for you. And bye.